Let me start by saying I don't recognize myself anymore. A year ago, I was Ethan Moore, the guy with the startup everyone called the next big thing, a wife who laughed at my stupid jokes like they were gospel, and a best friend, Daniel, who'd been my ride or die since we shared a dorm room. Then the investors pulled out. My company collapsed overnight, and my wife, Clara, left me for Daniel. They got married 4 months after our divorce. I didn't contest it. What was there to fight for? I was crashing in my uncle's basement, eating gas station burritos and replaying every mistake I'd ever made. But 3 days ago, Clara showed up at my door. Her left eye was swollen shut. Purple fingerprints circled her wrist, and nothing she said made sense. "He's not the person you remember, Ethan," she said, her voice breaking. "Daniel? The guy who whisked her off to Bali 2 weeks after our divorce? The one who bought her a Mercedes to ease the pain of my failure?" I told her to leave, slammed the door so hard the frame shook, but she stood there, her knuckles white on the railing, and said, "If you turn me away, I'll end up in a hospital, or worse." Here's the problem. I still love her. Or maybe I just love the ghost of who she was. Either way, I let her in. Clara slept on the couch that night. I didn't sleep at all. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a judgment. At 3 a.m., I crept into the living room. Moonlight cut through the blinds, striping her face. She looked smaller, fragile. Not the woman who'd stared me down in court and said, "You failed us, Ethan. You don't get to fight for me." I almost woke her. Almost asked, why now? Why me? But then I noticed her phone buzzing on the coffee table. A text lit up the screen. "Unknown number. You can't hide forever." I froze. Her arm shifted, the sleeve of her sweater slipping. More bruises. Darker. Angrier. The next morning, I made coffee. She sat at the kitchen table, her hands shaking around the mug. "I need to explain," she said. "Start with the texts," I replied. She paled. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it? Because last I checked, Daniel's the golden boy, the guy who saved you. So why are you here looking like someone used you as a punching bag?" Her eyes filled. He has debts, people he owes, dangerous people. They started coming to the house. When he couldn't pay, they took it out on me." I laughed. A bitter, jagged sound. "You expect me to believe Daniel's mixed up with criminals? The guy who cried when our goldfish died?" "You don't know him anymore," she whispered. Neither did I. That afternoon I drove to the liquor store. Not to buy anything, just to think. But as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw him. Daniel. Leaning against his black Range Rover, smiling at a woman who wasn't Clara. She was young, blonde, laughing too loud. I ducked behind a shelf inside the store, my pulse roaring. When he walked in, I held my breath. He didn't see me. Just grabbed a bottle of expensive tequila and said to the cashier, celebrating a new business deal. The kind that changes everything. I waited until he left, followed his car. Not sure why. Maybe to prove Clara wrong, maybe to prove myself right. He didn't go home. He drove to a warehouse on the edge of town. 2 men in suits met him at the door. Handshakes. A briefcase exchanged. One of the men looked familiar. Took me a minute to place him. A guy from the news last year. Arrested for money laundering. Acquitted on a technicality. I drove back to the basement, my hands glued to the wheel. Clara was on the couch, staring at the wall. "Who's the blonde?" I asked. She didn't flinch. "His assistant. At least that's what he calls her." "And the warehouse? The guys with the briefcase?" Finally, she looked at me. "You followed him. Answer the question." She stood, wincing as she put weight on her ankle. "Daniel's not just a businessman, Ethan. He's a liar, a thief. And if I don't disappear, he'll kill me." Now I'm sitting here typing this, wondering if I'm a fool. Clara's asleep again. There's a box under my bed. Old photos, love letters she wrote me years ago, a pregnancy test from a lifetime ago when we still believed in happily ever after. And a gun. I don't know who to trust. Not her. Not myself. But if I've learned one thing, it's this. The truth doesn't set you free. It just pulls the thread that unravels everything you thought you knew. The rain started around midnight. Clara's breathing was uneven on the couch. Like even in sleep she couldn't escape whatever haunted her. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the gun I'd pulled from under the bed. It was my dad's old revolver, cold and heavy in my hands. I hadn't touched it in years. But now, with the shadows stretching long and Clara's bruises glowing faintly in the lamplight, it felt like the only thing that made sense. I didn't hear her wake up. One moment I was alone. The next her hand was on my shoulder. I flinched. "You shouldn't have that out," she said quietly. I didn't look at her. "Why? You think I'll use it on him?" "On yourself," she replied. That stung. I set the gun down, pushed it away. "Why do you care? You didn't stick around to watch me fall apart the first time." She sank into the chair across from me. The yellowing kitchen light washed her out, made her look like a ghost. "You think I wanted to leave? You think I didn't lie awake for months wondering if I'd made the worst mistake of my life? But you stayed. Because I thought he was safe." Her voice cracked. "Because after everything crashed, you were gone, Ethan. Not just the money. You. You stopped looking at me. Stopped fighting. Daniel was there. And he was solid. And I was so damn scared of being alone. So you traded up." She slammed her palm on the table. The gun rattled. "I traded down. And now I'm here, begging the man I destroyed to save me. How's that for karma?" The silence after that felt like a third person in the room. I finally met her eyes. "What do you want from me, Clara? You want me to play hero? To take down Daniel? I'm not that guy anymore." "Yes, you are," she said. "You're just buried under a lot of crap." The next morning, I called in sick to my job at the auto shop. Not that they'd notice. Clara hovered by the window, peering through. The blinds every 5 minutes. Paranoia had dug its claws into her. "They'll find me here," she muttered. "He has people everywhere." "Who's they?" I asked, flipping pancakes just to keep my hands busy. She didn't answer, just tugged her sleeves down over her wrists. I threw the spatula into the sink. "You can't keep doing this. Half-truths and cryptic warnings. If you want my help, you gotta tell me everything. Start with the money." Her shoulders stiffened. "What money?" "Daniel's business deals. The warehouse. The briefcase. I'm not an idiot, Clara. He's moving something illegal. Drugs? Guns?" A bitter laugh escaped her. "Worse. People." The word hung there, ugly and sharp. What the hell does that mean? She turned, her eyes glassy. "He's not just borrowing from criminals. He's partnered with them. They smuggle immigrants, women, kids, promise them jobs, visas. Then they take their passports, force them into work." "Work? You're not this naive, Ethan." The pancake batter dripped onto the stove, sizzling. I turned off the burner. "And you knew?" "Not at first. He told me it was shipping logistics. But then, I found photos on his laptop. Receipts. Names." She hugged herself. "When I confronted him, he said if I ever left, he'd make sure I disappeared like the rest of them." I wanted to vomit. Daniel. The guy who'd been my best man. Who'd held my hand at my mom's funeral. Who'd sworn he'd look out for Clara when I couldn't. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "You think I didn't try?" Her voice rose. "The first cop I talked to, he asked for a private meeting, said he'd need proof. Then he showed me a picture of my sister's kids, told me to rethink my choices. I didn't know her sister had kids. Then again, we hadn't spoken in a year. I spent the afternoon, digging, called in every favor I had left from my old life. Most people hung up, but Raj, my former CFO, agreed to meet. We sat in a diner off the highway, rain slashing the windows. Raj looked older, his hair grayer. "You're asking about Daniel?" He stirred his coffee like it owed him money. "Guy's untouchable. Got politicians in his pocket. Cops. Even some judges." "Since when?" "Since always." Raj leaned in. "You really never noticed? The way he'd magically fix problems? That lawsuit your company had, poof, gone. The zoning issues with the office, solved overnight. You thought that was luck? I hadn't. I'd thought it was Daniel being Daniel. Charming, connected, a fixer. Raj dropped his voice. He's got a ledger, black book, everyone who's on his payroll. Find that, and you've got a nuclear option. Where? No. Idea. But if your ex is living with him, maybe she's seen it. She's not living with him anymore. Raj raised an eyebrow. Then you're already in deeper than you think. Clara was gone when I got back. No note. Just the smell of her perfume and an overturned lamp. Panic shot through me. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. Then I heard it, a whimper from the bedroom closet. I yanked the door open. Clara was curled inside, clutching a knife from the kitchen. "They're outside," she hissed. "Who?" "Two men, in a black SUV. They'd been circling the block." I peered through the blinds. Sure enough, a tinted SUV idled at the curb. My hands went cold. "Did they see you?" "I don't know. I took the trash out earlier." "Maybe." I thought of the gun, the knife in her hand, the absurdity of it all. A year ago I was picking out throw pillows with this woman. Now we were hiding in a closet, waiting for thugs to kick down the door. "We need to leave," I said. "Where?" "Good question." We took my truck, parked behind the old movie theater. Ate cold fries from a takeout bag. Clara stared at the rain-streaked windshield. "I'm sorry," she said. "For which part?" "All of it." She fiddled with her wedding ring. Still, on her finger I noticed Daniel's ring. I thought I was choosing safety, but all I did was trade one cage for another. I wanted to hate her, to scream. Instead, I asked, "Did you ever love him?" She hesitated. "I loved not feeling alone." The SUV never found us. But when we returned to the house, the front door was slightly open. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was out of place. Except for one thing. The box under my bed had been moved. The gun was still there. But the pregnancy test, the one from years ago when we'd tried and failed to start a family, was gone. That night, Clara didn't sleep on the couch. She crawled into my bed, her back pressed to mine, shaking. I didn't. "Push her away. What happens now?" she whispered. I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know. But somewhere between the rage and the fear, a plan was forming. Dangerous. Probably stupid. Daniel wanted to play monster? Fine. But he forgot. I knew his secrets. Knew where he buried them. And if Clara was telling the truth, I'd dig everyone up even if it buried me too. The smell of gasoline and rain clung to the air as I parked behind the abandoned gas station. Clara sat rigid in the passenger seat, her nails digging into her knees. I'd memorized the address Raj gave me, a storage unit on the outskirts of the city where Daniel supposedly stashed his merchandise. The plan was simple. Get proof. Photos, documents, anything to burn his empire to the ground. But plans are for people who haven't lost everything twice. Clara reached for the door handle. "Wait," I said, grabbing her wrist. Her skin was cold. "If this goes south, you run. Don't look back." She stared at me. "You don't get to die a hero, Ethan. Not after all this." The storage facility was eerily quiet. Rows of metal doors gleaming under flickering lights. Unit 317. I cut the padlock with bolt cutters, my hands steady despite the acid churning in my gut. Inside were crates, dozens of them. I pried one open. Clothes, children's shoes, backpacks with teddy bear pins. "Oh God," Clara whispered, lifting a tiny sweater. A name was stitched into the collar, Maria. I pulled out my phone, snapping photos. "This is enough. We'll take it to the FBI. Someone outside Daniel's pocket." "It's not enough," she said, her voice hollow. "He'll just say it's donations. Refugee aid. You need the ledger." Footsteps echoed outside. Clara froze. I shoved her behind a crate, clicking off my phone's flashlight. The beam of a high-powered torch sliced through the dark. "Check Unit 312, a man growled. "Boss said the rats might come here. Daniel's men." Clara's breath hitched. I gripped her hand, scanning for exits. A ventilation grate near. The ceiling. Small, but possible. I hoisted her up, her sneakers scrambling against the metal wall. She slipped through just as the unit door screeched open. "Nothing here," one thug said. "Smoke 'em out anyway," the other replied. A lighter flicked. Flames erupted near the crates. I dove for the grate, hauling myself up as smoke choked the air. Clara pulled me through, her hands blistering on the hot metal. We ran, coughing, the fire roaring behind us. We hid in a motel that night, the kind where the doors barely lock. Clara sat under the flickering bathroom light, rinsing her burns, in the sink. I watched her in the mirror. "Why'd you really come back?" I asked. She turned off the tap. "I told you. I had nowhere else to go." "Bullshit, you could have vanished. Changed your name. But you came to me, the guy with nothing left to lose." "Why?" Silence. Then she reached into her pocket and slid something across the counter. The missing pregnancy test. "I found it under your bed," she said. "I took it because I needed to know if you still kept it." The plastic stick was faded, the faint second line almost invisible now. A relic from a time when we'd dreamed of a family. "What's your point?" Her eyes met mine in the mirror. "I'm pregnant, Ethan." The room tilted. "Daniel's." "No." Her voice cracked. "Ours. I took 3 tests last week. All positive." I braced myself against the wall. "You're lying." "The night before I left you," she said, tears spilling over. You remember. I thought it was a goodbye. Then my period never came. But by then, I was already married to him. I didn't know how to tell you, how to even be around you. The air felt too thin. Does Daniel? No, not yet, but if he finds out, she touched her stomach. He'll kill it. Or worse, claim it as his own. I sank to the floor, my back against the moldy wallpaper. All this time, I'd thought the worst pain was losing her. Turns out, it's this. Hope, sharp and poisoned, cutting deeper than rage. We drove to the coast at dawn. Clara slept with her head against the window, her hand curled protectively over her belly. I kept glancing at her, trying to see a flicker of the woman I'd loved. But all I saw was a stranger with my child inside her. The safe house was a fisherman's cottage Raj had arranged. Rusted nets hung on the porch. The air reeked of salt and seaweed. Clara hesitated at the door. "How long can we stay here?" "Long enough to figure out our next move." "Our move?" She raised an eyebrow. "You believe me now?" "I don't know what I believe." The cottage was sparse. A wood stove, a sagging couch, a radio that only picked up static. I built a fire while Clara scrounged for food. She found a can of beans and held it up triumphantly. Gourmet. We ate in silence. The can passed between us. Then the radio crackled to life. "Authorities are investigating a fatal fire at a storage facility last night. Arson suspected." Clara's spoon clattered into the can. "They'll blame us." "They already have." I stared into the flames. "Daniel's framing us. Classic move. Discredit the messengers." She hugged her knees. "We can't run. Forever. We're not running." I pulled out the photos from the storage unit. "We're ending this." The plan was reckless, stupid, but it was all I had. Daniel was hosting a charity gala that night, a glittering event for the city's elite, where he'd play the benevolent philanthropist. We'd crash it, use the chaos to break into his office, find the ledger. Clara sewed a tracking device into her clutch bag. "Where'd you learn to do that?" I asked. "You think I spent a year with Daniel and didn't pick up a few tricks?" She smirked, but it didn't reach her eyes. Dressing for the gala was a joke. My suit was 2 sizes too big, scavenged from a thrift store. Clara wore a black dress she'd found in the cottage's closet, the hem frayed. "We look like we're going to a funeral," she said. "Maybe we are." The venue was a cathedral of greed. Chandeliers, champagne towers, women in diamonds sharp enough to kill. Clara stiffened as we entered. "There he is." Daniel stood at the center of the room, arm around the blonde from the liquor store. His smile was a knife. "Stick to the plan," I muttered. "I'll create a distraction. You get to his office." She nodded, slipping into the crowd. The distraction was a fire alarm. I pulled it, then ducked into a hallway as chaos erupted. Guests flooded toward the exits, their panic perfume thick. I texted Clara. "Go now." Daniel's office was unlocked. Ironic, considering his paranoia. The desk was mahogany, pristine. I yanked open drawers. Nothing. Then I noticed the painting behind the desk, a landscape of the Alps, slightly crooked. I lifted it. A safe. Looking for this? Daniel stood in the doorway, holding the ledger. His tie was loosened, his smile venomous. "Hello, Ethan." I lunged. He sidestepped, smooth as always. "Still playing the brute, I see. Some things never change." "Where's Clara?" "With my associates. Don't worry. They'll take good care of her. And the baby." Ice shot through my veins. He knew. "Did you think she'd stay loyal to you?" He tossed the ledger onto the desk. "She's a survivor, Ethan. She'll cling to whoever keeps her alive. First you, then me, soon someone else." I swung. My fist connected with his jaw. He stumbled, laughing. "That's the spirit, but you're too late. The police are already on their way. You'll die the villain, and I'll be the grieving husband avenging my wife's kidnapping." Sirens wailed outside. Daniel straightened his tie. "Goodbye, old friend." Clara was gone. The tracker led me to the docks, where waves clawed at the pilings. A shipping container stood open, light spilling out. Inside, Clara was tied to a chair, her dress torn. A man stood over her, a syringe in his hand. "Don't!" I shouted. He turned. Not a thug, a cop. The same one Clara had gone to for help. "Took you long enough," the cop said. "Daniel wants her to disappear. But I think she's worth more alive. A pretty face to sell." I didn't think. Just moved. The gun was in my hand. When did I grab it? And then the cop was on the ground, clutching his leg. Clara's eyes met mine, wide with terror. I untied her. "Can you run?" "Always." We fled into the storm, the gunshots fading behind us. Back at the cottage, Clara collapsed by the fire. I checked the windows, the doors, the shadows. "They'll keep coming," she said. "I know." She touched my arm. "The ledger. Did you get it?" I pulled it from my jacket. Names, dates, payments. Enough to ruin Daniel and everyone in his pocket. Clara traced a name on the page. My sister's husband. He's one of them. Of course. The family she'd tried to protect. The reason she'd stayed silent. I tossed the ledger into the fire. "What are you doing?" she screamed. "Proof isn't enough," I said, watching the pages curl to ash. "We need something he can't buy or bury." "Like what?" I looked at her, at the life growing inside her. "Leverage." The fire spat embers onto the cottage floor as the last of the ledger burned. Clara stared at the ashes, her face a mix of fury and disbelief. "That was our only weapon," she said, her voice trembling. "No," I replied. "The baby is the weapon," she flinched. "Don't call them that. Daniel wants a legacy, a perfect family to clean his money. Tell him you're carrying his child and he'll do anything to protect it. He'll know it's a lie. The timing doesn't add up." I knelt in front of her, the heat of the fire biting my skin. "He's arrogant. He'll believe what he wants to believe. And when he lets his guard down, we strike." Her eyes narrowed. "You're talking about using our child as bait. I'm talking about survival." The call to Daniel was a gamble. Clara's hands shook as she dialed, the burner phone pressed to her ear. I listened on speaker, my finger hovering over the end button. He answered on the second ring. "Clara, you've caused quite a mess." "I'm pregnant," she blurted. Silence, then a low chuckle. "And?" "It's yours." Another pause. I could almost hear him calculating. "You expect me to believe that?" "The night of the gala. You came home late. You remember? A lie. But Daniel's ego was a blind spot." He sighed. "Where are you?" "Somewhere safe. But I'll come back on one condition. You leave Ethan alone. Let him disappear." "And why would I do that?" "Because if you don't," she said, her voice steel now, "I'll walk into the ocean with your air inside me. You'll spend the rest of your life wondering if I did it." The line went dead. Clara dropped the phone like it was on fire. "Will he bite?" she asked. I thought of the Daniel I once knew, the boy who'd fake a heart attack to win a poker game. "He'll bite." Daniel's offer came 3 hours later. A meet at his penthouse. Alone, he specified. Or the deal's off. Clara insisted on going. I insisted on following. We compromised. She'd wear a wire, and I'd park a block away with a rifle Raj had acquired. You know how to use that thing? She asked, eyeing the gun. Point and shoot. How hard can it be? She didn't laugh. The penthouse loomed over the city, all glass and arrogance. Clara stepped out of the elevator, her posture straight, her hair swept into a knot. I watched through binoculars from a rooftop across the street, the rifle's scope trained on Daniel's silhouette. He greeted her with a kiss on the cheek. You look terrible. Pregnancy suits you too, she shot back. They moved to the living room, out of view. The wire crackled in my ear. Didn't have to involve Ethan, Daniel was saying. You left me no choice, Clara replied. There's always a choice. You could have stayed, played your part. A clink of ice in a glass. I'm done playing. Then let's negotiate. His tone shifted, smooth as oil. You want me to spare Ethan? Fine. But in return, you'll come home. Be the doting wife. And when the baby's born, we'll raise it as mine. No more lies. And if I say no, then Ethan dies tonight. Slowly. The scope trembled in my hands. I adjusted, searching for a clear shot. Clara's voice softened. I need to see the doctor first, to confirm everything's okay. Already arranged. Daniel's smile was audible. My personal physician is downstairs. The clinic was in the building's basement, sterile and silent. Clara lay on the exam table, the wire hidden under her blouse. The doctor, a gaunt man with nervous hands, smeared gel on her stomach. Just a routine ultrasound, he said. The monitor flickered. Static, then shapes. The doctor froze. Mr. Hartman, there's no fetus. Clara's breath hitched. What? You're not pregnant. Daniel stepped into the room, his smile gone. Interesting. She sat up, clutching her stomach. That's impossible. I took tests. Fake ones, Daniel said. Planting evidence in Ethan's trash was a nice touch, though. Almost believed it myself. My blood turned to ice. She lied. Clara backed against the wall. Daniel, wait! He grabbed her wrist, yanking her close. You think I didn't have your apartment bugged? That I didn't hear every pathetic sob story you fed Ethan? The wire went dead. I threw the rifle aside, running for the stairs. The penthouse elevator required a key. I took the service stairs, 40 flights, my lungs burning. Burst into the clinic to find Daniel pinning Clara to the table, a scalpel in his hand. Stay back, he snarled. Clara's eyes met mine, terrified. Ethan, I'm sorry. Save it, I spat. Daniel pressed the blade to her throat. You're both so predictable. Clara betrays you, you betray her. Round and round we go. Let her go, I said. This is between us. Oh, it's way beyond us. He nodded to the doctor, who slid a syringe from his coat. But don't worry, I'll make it quick, for old time's sake. Clara kicked, her heel connecting with Daniel's knee. He stumbled, the scalpel clattering away. I lunged, tackling him to the floor. Fists, teeth, blood, a blur of rage. Someone screamed. The doctor fled. Clara scrambled for the scalpel. Daniel grabbed my throat, his thumbs crushing my windpipe. You lose, he hissed. You always lose. Then his grip slackened. He looked down. The scalpel jutted from his side. Clara's hand still on the hilt. Not this time, she whispered. He collapsed, gasping. I crawled to Clara, but she shoved me away. Go, before the police come. What about you? She touched Daniel's face, his breath shallow. I'll stay. Clean up the mess. Clara. Go, Ethan. I ran, not sure why. Not sure of anything anymore. The news broke at dawn. Prominent businessman Daniel Hartman dead in apparent suicide. Wife claims he was distraught over financial crimes. No mention of me. No manhunt. Just a footnote in Daniel's downfall. Clara called a week later. It's done, she said. The police bought it. His associates are too busy hiding to care about us. Us? A pause. I'm leaving the country. There's a clinic in Switzerland. It's not safe here. You're really not pregnant, are you? She hung up. I sit here now, in the fisherman's cottage, typing this. The rifle's gone. The fire's out. All that's left is the truth. Love is a knife. Betrayal is the hand that wields it. And secrets? They're the bloodstains that never wash out. Clara texted this morning, a photo of a sonogram. No words. I haven't replied. The sonogram photo burns a hole in my phone. I've stared at it for hours, zooming in, tracing the blurry shape. Could be a baby. Could be a smudge. With Clara, it's always a coin toss. I found her in a coastal town in Maine. Not Switzerland. Of course not. She's sitting on a dock, legs dangling over the water, her hair whipped by the wind. She doesn't turn when I approach. Knew you'd come, she says. Why here? She pats the wood beside her. I sit, keeping a foot of space between us. The ocean growls below. My grandparents had a cabin near here, she says. When I was 8, my dad took me fishing. He told me the sea doesn't care about your secrets. It'll drown you just the same. Poetic. She hands me a folded paper. Another sonogram dated 2 weeks ago. A tiny bean with a heartbeat. Why lie before? I ask. Would you have helped me if you thought the baby was real? Her voice cracks. Or would you have called me a liar again? The wind steals my answer. She leans into me, her shoulder against mine. I didn't want to trap you. But when Daniel found out, I panicked. Made up the fake tests. Thought if you believed it was his, you'd walk away, stay safe. And now? Now I'm tired of lying. She presses her palm to mine. Stay or go. But don't do it for the baby. Do it for us. I look at her. Really look. The girl who loved me. The woman who broke me. The stranger who might be both. One condition, I say. Anything. We disappear. New names, new life, no looking back. She nods. Deal. Epilogue 3 years later. A cottage in the Rockies. Snow piles against the windows. A toddler with Clara's eyes and my stubbornness smears oatmeal on the walls. We call her Lily. The news still talks about Daniel sometimes. The fallen king. The missing ledger. The trail of bodies. They don't talk about us. Clara sits by the fire, knitting a scarf she'll never finish. I hand her a mug of tea. Happy? She asks. Depends on the day. She smiles. It almost reaches her eyes. To the people who stuck around, if you're reading this, you're probably screaming at your screen. Why forgive her? Or, he's an idiot. Or, the baby deserved better. I get it. I've screamed those things too. But here's the truth no one tells you. Love isn't a choice. It's a reflex. A scar. A habit you can't quit. Clara's my bad habit. My secondhand smoke. And maybe that's not romantic. Maybe it's just sad. But Lily laughs when I chase her around the kitchen. Clara hums old songs while she cooks. And at night, when the nightmares come, we hold each other until the sun rises. It's not a happy ending. It's a messy middle. What? You're probably thinking, Clara's still manipulating him. Maybe. The baby's not even his. DNA says she is. Daniel's still alive. He's not. I checked. This is toxic. You're not wrong. But life isn't a Reddit thread. There's no TLDR for grief. No upvotes for getting it right. You just keep living. Thank you to everyone who followed this train wreck. Thanks. For the rage comments. The DMs. The I told you so's. You gave a damn about a broken guy and the woman who broke him. That's more than I expected. If you want more messy stories, cheating spouses, family secrets, bad choices that can't be undone, check out my other posts. I've got plenty. And hey, if you see Clara and me in some quiet corner of the world, let us be. We've earned the silence.